morning, Drew.
Good morning, or afternoon, or evening, depending on where you happen to be or when you happen to be listening to this.
You're right. Welcome to 2 Cents, shorter version of Bank Chats, where we just kind of talk about current events, things that interest us that we found in the news, and anything else like that.
That's really what it comes down to, is things that interest us.
Yeah,
and we hope somebody else finds them interesting as well.
Right.
But yeah.
So today we're going to talk about some scams that target college students and K through 12, since school is now back in session for pretty much everyone in the United States, at least.
Yeah, these years go by really quick. I'll tell you, it seems like just yesterday it was like either 4th of July or even Memorial Day, and now all of a sudden we're right back into the swing of things.
Yeah, once April hits, pretty much the rest of the year flies, at least for us.
Yeah, 100%. So you're right. Kids are back in school, and not only younger kids through high school, but obviously, like you said, college students starting back. Some people starting college for the first time, right? So let's talk. So you brought up a good, and this was totally on you, that you kind of brought up this idea of, we talk about scams for people in general all the time, but there are seriously things that college students specifically should be looking out for, right?
Well, yeah, so we've brought up in the past that we kind of scams towards seniors we kind of highlight, but actually in 2024 the FTC reported that individuals from 20 to 29 lost money to fraud and scams more frequently than those aged 70 to 79.
Wow.
So we don't highlight that enough, but college age students are getting scammed more than ever, I guess.
Yeah, I think that we tend to assume, and maybe this is an assumption born out of technology 10 years ago. We tend to assume that elder scams are more common because the older people don't understand technology. But what we tend to forget is that younger people haven't been exposed to the world as much as the older people, and maybe are a little more naive.
And they're online more often, so there's more of a chance of being scammed.
Yeah, that's also a very good point. Sometimes older people are not always quick on the draw when it comes to adopting new technology, and younger people definitely are.
Right.
Right. So what are some of the things that college students should be looking out for? Let's kind of start going down a list of things and kind of talk through them here.
Well, like everyone else, texting and phishing scams are huge in college too. The website that I was looking at gave a really good example, especially now, right at the end of vacation season into the start of school. Be careful what you put on social media. If you post pictures of your vacation, that's a red flag for a scammer to call you up and say, hey, you were in the Virgin Isles recently. Did you make a credit card transaction? And of course you're going to say, yes, I did, because they know that you were just there. And that opens up a can of worms to the scammer now getting your information from you.
It's really funny that you say that, because I grew up in an era where people didn't have cell phones. People didn't, when I was growing up, you still had to talk on the phone in the kitchen to your friends and stuff,
Right.
But answering machines became a thing. Right. People didn't have answering machines prior to like 1980, and so as answering machines became more popular, you found that people were putting stuff on their answering machines, their outgoing message saying, hey, we're going to be in wherever, we're going to be on vacation, whatever. And then people were breaking into people's houses because they knew they weren't home.
Right.
So the idea of not sharing too much personal information, I think, goes back farther than what we tend to think. You're going back 40 years now of telling people, hey, listen, don't tell people that you're on vacation. And yet now with social media, it's even more prevalent because people want to share that stuff like right away.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's a good point. So what next?
Well, okay, just to continue on that one.
Oh yeah.
More. These scams are getting more complex too. It's not usually just a one-person scam anymore. So after they've made contact with you and asked for your information, they'll typically pass you off to another scammer. They'll put on a YouTube video in the background that makes it sound like they're in a big call center, a lot of commotion. Pass you on to someone else, put you on hold. just make it look like it's a big company, and not really. It's just one person,
Yeah.
two people.
That's crazy. I would imagine. I mean, thinking like a scammer, you could even call somebody up and say, "Hey, you forgot your. We think that you may have forgotten some personal items in your hotel room. Can you give me your?
Oh yeah.
Can you verify your driver's license number? Can you verify a credit card number or something for me so I can prove that the wallet we found in your room is yours?" And if you're not holding your wallet right at that moment or something, you very well might say, "Oh my gosh, yeah, let me go ahead and give you some information." Just you got to be so careful about what you give out. What you give out. Don't give out any of that stuff.
Another one is, I mean, not so much right now, not an issue because everybody's back to school. But searching for off-campus housing can be an issue. If a deal is too good to be true, or the landlord is asking for payments through maybe Cash App or a peer-to-peer payment app, be a little cautious of that.
Yeah, it amazes me the older I get how often your grandmother's sage advice still applies. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Most certainly. And in today, with the prices of everything, everybody's looking for a deal. So people are falling for it more often than they ever have.
Yeah, and from what I was reading along those lines with that kind of scam, sometimes these apartments and places don't even exist. They're people are looking for apartments, houses, things like that, sometimes from out of state, sometimes even out of the country. If they're going to a school, say they're from France and they're coming to a school in the US and they're looking for a place to live. And then, they people list these apartments and things online and they don't exist. But they happen to be near a popular college, a big college or something.
Right.
People sign up, send down payments, you have to send me a down payment for the first month's rent. And so they send this money ahead, and then they end up in the country and going to the school, and they find out that apartment just doesn't exist.
Right.
So you got to be so careful.
Do your due diligence. Yeah. Do research online, use Google Maps, look at the address.
Yeah. Make sure the address isn't a Quickie Mart.
Right. Google Street View is a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's 100% with today's world. With Google Maps, like you said, you can check and make sure that an address at least looks like a residential property, if nothing else.
Right.
And speaking from experience, when my stepdaughter went to college, the college itself tends to know where the housing is. Right. So, call the college business office, the housing office, whatever, and just say, hey, listen, I'm looking at a house or an apartment or something at this address. Is that a legit place?
Yeah.
Do you know it? Chances are somebody at the school probably knows that location if it's a legitimate place for students to rent.
Right.
Yeah. The other one that I came across was actually employment scams. According to the ITRC, scammers may try to steal identities from unsuspecting students through enticing job offers.
Oh, yeah.
Criminals may prey upon a student's money, personal information, even physical safety. College students looking for a side gig, something to earn some money while they're in college. And again, you're giving out all this information thinking you're getting a job. When in reality, they're just collecting data on you and then using it to wipe you out or get you to send them money or steal your identity and go open a loan somewhere. I mean, it's not always stealing money from you that can damage you. It can be just stealing your personal information. And then,
that's true. Yeah.
And most college students, in my opinion, in my experience, they're not looking at their credit report every day. They don't know that somebody's opened up a loan in their name until it's too late.
Right. And if this job opportunity is not even something you applied for, be very cautious of that,
Yeah, it's same along the same lines as those lotteries. If you didn't enter a lottery, you didn't win.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's always one. What else?
Another one was be cautious when applying for scholarships. I didn't even think about this one. Yeah. So you're given a lot of information up front when you're applying for scholarships. Make sure it's a credible scholarship, a credible business that's offering it. And if not, if you have doubts, go to your financial aid office and see if they've heard of this scholarship before, or just, go through your financial aid office for scholarships in general.
Sure. Yeah. And there are definitely legitimate websites out there where you can search for scholarships, find out whether or not a business is really offering it, that sort of thing. Sometimes you can, like you said, find out through the financial aid office at your college who might be offering scholarships.
Right.
but yeah, college students, college, we've talked about this. We talked about this on a couple of different episodes, including with George Camo whenever he was on the show, about how, how expensive college is getting.
Mm-hmm.
And so, students are looking for any way they can to help pay off loans or handle their day-to-day needs financially. Being able to buy pizza and things like that, So you're right. I mean, if you see a scholarship out there, financial aid, you're giving a ton of information to them, and you want to make sure that you're actually applying for something that's legit.
Yeah, and along those same lines, be cautious when you're opening your credit card. You're giving a lot of information up front, and maybe a fictitious company trying to give you a credit card option.
Yeah, and you know what? That brings up a point, which again, I think there's a fly in here.
Hey, welcome to our guest. Yeah,
really is. The credit card thing we've talked about before too. I think when we talked about credit cards versus loans and things like that, but it bears repeating that, especially if you're a college student. And I know when I went to college, they would roll out the red carpet for college students to sign up for credit cards,
Mm-hmm.
and they were. I always joke it was the most expensive free T-shirt I ever had, because
Right.
you get a free T-shirt if you sign up for a credit card, and you don't realize what you're doing. You're signing up for a card that has 25% interest, and you're buying your Saturday night pizza and beverage of choice, we'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And you think, oh, this is just free money, and it's so not.
Yeah.
So definitely be aware of that. Go to your parents, go to the bank that you've grown up going to, that your parents go to, whatever. See if they can help you with a credit card option. See if you can find something that offers low interest or something specifically designed for students. Don't just randomly grab a credit card if somebody walks up to you, on the college quad and says, hey, you want to sign up for a credit card?
Yeah.
Be aware.
Yeah.
Be aware.
That's what my parents did whenever I was in college. My first credit card was for a local bank that I could pay it in person. So they, in my credit card statement would come to their house. So they knew whenever I had a bill due, and they would remind me, hey, you got a bill here. You have to come home and go pay that,
Yeah. And my guess is it probably had a relatively low credit line too.
Yeah.
So, you didn't end up with a $20,000 credit line,
Right.
and rack up a ridiculous bill. Like, a lot of those entry level or college cards, sort of cap you out at maybe,
Mm-hmm.
probably these days around $2,000 to $5,000, maybe something like that, which is still a significant amount of money.
Right. Or they're secured against another bank account or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, absolutely. So this is maybe one that I came across that is maybe more for students that are sort of getting close to graduation.
Okay.
But they talk about student loan debt relief scams.
Oh, yeah.
So these are offers that help to pay down your student loans. The Federal Trade Commission recently announced that they shut down a scam that took students for over $23 million.
Wow.
And a lot of times the bait on the hook is, hey, send me X number of dollars, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll as an application fee, and then we'll start you in the process of helping to find ways to pay down your student debt with less interest or less time or whatever. And it's a total scam.
It's a scam. Everything. Yeah.
So while there are ways out there to try to do that, make sure again you're going through legitimate sources to try to find them.
Yeah.
Whether it's your trusted bank, your school. If your parents are aware of what's going on and are financially savvy and can help you, definitely go to somebody you trust to help find these things. Don't pick one out randomly on the web and send your information and an application fee in, and it's
right. There's a commercial about it that probably don't have your best interest in mind.
Probably not, because honestly, those commercials cost money to air.
Yeah.
And you got to wonder whether, your application fee is going to air that commercial so that they can take on more people with their application fees.
Yeah.
And it's sad, but it's true. We live in this society where you have to just be so cautious about just being smart about what you sign up for and what you get involved in, for sure.
Yeah.
You got anything? What else do you got on your list?
Last one for college was just being cautious about using public Wi-Fi. Now that we live in a world of internet, public Wi-Fi is accessible in most places. You go to McDonald's and you can get on their Wi-Fi. Not always the best thing to do. Hackers can steal your information. Use VPNs if you can, if you have one. Or just don't use use a your phone as a hotspot maybe, but try not hopping on that public Wi-Fi unless you really have to.
Yeah, there's a term out there that people, I think, get a little bit. It's called a man in the middle attack, and a lot of people don't quite always gather what that means. But essentially, it means that on any public Wi-Fi, anybody can be on that same network, and if you are on the same network as somebody else, that person can theoretically see everything that's passing from your device to the network. It's really no different than when you share your printer with your home computer, right? You're on the same network. They can talk to one another. The data can be passed from one device to the next. So on public Wi-Fi, it's not so much that it's the business that is nefarious. McDonald's, to your point, is not necessarily stealing your data.
Right.
But
that guy sitting in the corner and his computer is sniffing your packets on your connection. Yeah.
Sniffing my packets. That's ridiculous. I'm gonna sniff my packets.
Sorry. Okay.
No, but you're right.
Yeah.
It's explain what that is before we end up in like trouble with somebody.
So when you're connected to the internet, you are sending and receiving data packets, and all they're doing is stealing those packets. That data that's unencrypted. So if you use a VPN or something that encrypts that data, it's a little harder for them to get access to your information. And also, make sure that if you're going to connect to public Wi-Fi, make sure that it is the correct public Wi-Fi.
Excellent point.
Hackers can set up any on the fly Wi-Fi connection that you connect to, and then they have instant access to everything.
Sure. That's definitely something you got to be aware of with not even just restaurants, things, but even hotels. It's so easy with so many people staying in a hotel, right? All somebody has to do is book a room and set up an open, unpassworded Wi-Fi that says the hotel name _A or 1 or something like that, or guest even. And most people, when they look for things like that, they're gonna see, oh, it says, Hilton guest. I'm gonna go ahead and agree to it, and connect to it, and they think they're connecting to something legitimate when they're absolutely not. So especially with things like hotels. Normally hotels, there is even if you get free Wi-Fi with your booking, typically you still have a gate you have to go through. You have to enter, say, your last name and your room number or something like that when you're joining a hotel Wi-Fi to prove that you're a legitimate guest.
Right.
But in a reverse way, it also helps to protect you, to give you that feeling of, hey, I'm not just joining some random open Wi-Fi. I'm giving there's something I have to do to gain access to that Wi-Fi.
It's a more secure network.
The other thing that I came across, and this is really sad, but it's very true. Essentially blackmail. You've got to be careful when it comes to being in college and with cell phones and smartphones and cameras and everything, for better or worse, you can argue either way. Anything that you do in this world could be filmed. And if you do something that you wouldn't want your parents to see, or you wouldn't want your family to see, or you wouldn't want your friends to see, you can't guarantee that they won't see it. And there are scams out there where they will send a college student a video of them doing something that they wouldn't want to be made public and say, if you don't pay me money, I'm going to release this. It's straight up blackmail.
And it could be something that was on your phone to begin with. So that was another one. Don't live on your phone. Don't live on your device. Don't keep your entire life's worth of information on one device. Because if that gets hacked, and your life is leaked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, I mean, speaking from experience, there were definitely things that I did when I was younger that I am really happy I lived in an era where it wasn't easy to film things like that. And we have seen politicians and actors and actresses and things get caught in things that they did 30 or 40 years ago.
Right.
That suddenly they're getting canceled in the media and all this kind of stuff. But you don't want to be, you don't want to be put in a position where, as a college student that's maybe getting ready to graduate, you're out there looking for a job, and now all of a sudden somebody's threatening to put something online somewhere that can damage your reputation or give you make it more difficult for you to achieve your goals.
Yeah. Along those same lines too, anything that was on the internet is always going to be on the internet. So if you have, stuff on your social media that you don't want your employer seeing, that's a problem. So don't post things that you don't want your employer to know.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. And if you don't think employers look at that stuff, think again.
Oh yeah.
When you put resumes out there, one of the first things that a lot of HR departments and management team members and things will do is go check out your LinkedIn.
I saw your name pop up, whenever you first contacted me.
Yeah. Now, hopefully those employers are not looking at your personal stuff, right? Hopefully they're just looking at your professional social pages and things like that, but you don't know that they're not.
Right.
So honestly, it's just one of those things, again, if it's not out there, it doesn't matter what they look at, right? So only share what you really think you might want seen.
Right.
And just be aware that, in college and places like that, you're not always thinking about the fact that you could be getting filmed and then potentially somebody coming after you. So keep those things in mind too. So congratulations on going to college. Now we've scared the life out of you.
Light out of you. Yeah.
And if you're a parent or a grandparent and you're listening to this or watching this, share some of this information with your college students, with your high school students, with your grandkids that are just out of college. It's definitely good information for anybody to know. And if they're not listening to it or watching it themselves, then maybe we can share it via you, as their trusted parent or grandparent or teacher or whoever.
Yeah.
So.
We have a lot more information on K through 12 on our website too. So make sure you check that out.
Yeah. Link in the bio.
Link in
the bio or link in the comments, depending on what you're watching this on or listening to this on. There's a link somewhere.
Yep.
Just we'll make sure it's out there.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Hey, happy school year.
Happy school year.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Bye, Joe. This podcast focuses on having valuable conversations on various topics related to banking and financial health. The podcast is grounded in having open conversations with professionals and experts with the goal of helping to take some of the mystery out of financial and related topics, as learning about financial products and services can help you make more informed financial decisions. Please keep in mind that the information contained within this podcast and any resources available for download from our website or other resources relating to Bank Chats is not intended and should not be understood or interpreted to be financial advice. The hosts, guests, and production staff of Bank Chats expressly recommend that you seek advice from a trusted financial professional before making financial decisions. The hosts of Bank Chats are not attorneys, accountants, or financial advisors, and the program is simply intended as one source of information. The podcast is not a substitute for a financial professional who is aware of the facts and circumstances of your individual situation. Thank you for listening. Please check out our full library of episodes, which can be found on the Ameriserve.com website. You can also download or stream the podcast from your favorite podcast app.